Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dynamic Thriving Podcast. I am your host, Marianne Pack, spiritual medium, best-selling author, publisher, and joy advocate, guiding you into all things life transformational. And this is a series on interviewing authors and publishers and people in the book industry and how it has affected their life, how they're using it, how it has impacted others around them and brought out good in the world. So my guest today is Bridget Sicsko. Welcome, Bridget. I appreciate you joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. I'm so excited.
Yes. And we have never gotten to have a podcast together. So this is so exciting, especially our topic is around visibility, y'all. So this is going to be excellent for us authors and publishers who want to be more visible in the world and get our babies out there. We've birthed them and now we want them to grow up and stand on their own. So I so appreciate you coming to spend some time with us, Bridget.
Thank you.
So tell everybody, who is Bridget and what good do you bring into the world?
Well, Bridget, beyond her business, is a yogi. I've been teaching yoga for the last 8 years. I garden, I cook, I love hiking, I love trail running. I love connecting with people. And the reason I introduced myself like that first is because that is also at the core of how I want to show up in the world and how I like to show up in the world. So, whether that is in friendships, in relationships, or while it's running a business, like that, those parts of me aren't hidden. And this goes into visibility because I truly believe that as founder-facing companies or as personal brands or as authors who have written a book, it's really important to bring all of ourselves to the table. And these days I run a business called Visibility on Purpose. It's a media training school for business owners to land media and get press without hiring a publicist. I am a speaker, I am a podcast host, and I do everything in terms of amplifying the voices of people who are doing good on the planet. So I feel like we were meant to meet also.
Yes, always a sourced meeting. Yeah. And I love when that happens, the synchronicities, and that just that you came into my life right now. So this is just so perfect. So I know you've written multiple books. So tell us about some of them or how that was for you, especially, books, even I think you have something just recently or kind of around this topic on visibility.
I do.
And how that has impacted you.
Yeah. I've always been writing since I had Lyme disease at a really young age. And that was a huge awakening journey for me. It was my teenage years. So I'm trying to figure out, who am I? What's my place in the world? My health, things are awkward, not the best time. And because of that, I went on this deep dive spiritual journey at a very, very young age. So journaling and writing I have journals for years and years and years and years. And a couple of years ago, I was invited to co-author a book. So I've co-authored a number of books. I am writing my own book as we speak. And I have really had that magical healing journey that most authors get to feel when they, dive into a topic and they start to unpack it. And because of that, we get clarity. We start to find answers to things. We start to heal things that we didn't even know, needed a healing. And the most recent book is a book called Get Published. And it's all publishers who have written the book, all editors, cover designers, and we're teaching people how to, go through that process of sharing a book with the world. And my piece was visibility. So I got to reflect on, what does it really look like? How do we do this? And how do we also hold ourselves, the tenderness of visibility? Because being seen is, as you said, Marianne, it's kind of a big deal. It's tender, it's vulnerable.
It is. And I love that you mentioned the healing process, even as we're writing. I can't tell you how many people in the Unmuted Voices, the last anthology that I published in January, so many of those authors thought that where they had unmuted their voice, they thought they had healed through that. Oh, I'm done. This is my story. This is going to be my story. And then they were shocked again that how much there was just another layer to peel off. And they found themselves even more unmuted, if you can be that, I suppose, but that they found more healing around a topic that they thought they had done a lot of work on. And it continues. This life isn't done. It's a process. It's a journey. So we're always moving forward. So I love that you brought that up around the healing of when we sit to write, when we dive deep, like you said, when we dig in there and start writing on a topic, and it can be more healing.
It really can. And prior to running Visibility on Purpose, I also had a publishing company. I was doing a lot of anthologies, mostly in the healing space, spiritual space. And I don't know about you, but every time, I would get the download of like, this is the book that we're going to produce, I would also go through my own healing journey related to the topic. Did that happen to you too?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because it brings up so many things that it's just still back there, just kind of niggling at you. And they're so quiet and they're so sneaky and subtle. And I think that's where a lot of times we kind of pat ourselves on the back. Okay, good girl. I got through that. And now I'm ready to move forward. And then there'll be, it's those little layers, And
there's so much to it. That's why we signed up for this human journey too, to have all these experiences. And like, we think that we're done with the healing. Oh, we've already experienced that. And then we get a new layer of the onion and we get to receive again and reflect again and grow and learn. And does it ever stop? I don't know. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Because the more I go through these healing processes as I write books and articles and blogs and it's such a joy. It brings me so much joy when I find those little nuggets that now I'm uncovering, and I go, oh, there's another one, that I get to experience and move through and come out again on the other side in more joy. I don't think we can ever outspend our joy bank account. It's always there for us. It's always growing. Because being a joy advocate, I have my ups and downs. I wrote a blog post today about that and how to find it again and how to come back into who we really are, because we are joy embodied. So I enjoyed talking with you about this. And I know I always say that our mess is our message. Usually what we've processed, what we've gone through, those healing layers, that peeling back that onion, can sometimes, it's so personal that a lot of times it does lead into what work we're doing in the world. Yeah. So what was your mess that became your message? How are you maybe using what you went through and now it's become part of your message? Or maybe it is your whole message.
Yeah, I mean, I would bring it back to having illness at a young age, and Lyme disease for me was really interesting because I started to have the awareness that there was more healing options out there than just the Western allopathic medical model. And I had become aware of this. I was going to numerous doctors and just not really finding the answers. And because of that, I started to do my own research. I started studying Ayurveda and food as medicine and herbs and nutrition. And because of that, I went to a doctor one day and I typed up my entire medical history. I was like, I'm going to show him that the body is connected. Everything is connected. And he didn't look at it. And that fueled my freaking fire, because at that young age, I was like, oh, no. There are numerous perspectives out there in the world. There are many ways to do things. There are many voices, and I will not be silenced. So it has to, it's very in alignment with your unmuted voices. Now, professionally, before I was even running a publishing company, I was helping women use their voice on video online. And that was a big part of it, how to tell their story online. So this thread of storytelling, using the voice, sharing ourselves, our message in bigger ways, like literally comes back to me as a little girl sitting in this doctor's office being pissed off.
I love it. And I love that you brought in the health aspect, because I was so miserable for so much of my life. And I created so much illness in my body and crashed at 34 with 2 little guys, you know, and then homeschooling and all the stuff that mommies and wives do, and taking care of a home. And when I crashed, you know, I marched myself into a health food store because obviously the drugs and the surgeries were not working, you know, disease after disease that I had. And I was so young.
Yeah.
I just thought I won't see my 40th birthday if I don't do something. So I marched myself into a health food store and told the owner, fix me, because it wasn't working. So I had to find a different way. So I love that you studied Ayurveda and all the other ways, because when I went to that store and started getting healing for my body, because it's like I couldn't deal with my emotions and my beliefs until I started getting some relief in my body. So for me, it had to come almost through my physical first to just give me relief so I could start thinking. And then I picked up a little book about other alternative medicines. And it was like, oh my goodness, because you don't know, but most of my listeners know that I came from a very patriarchal, very staunch Christian religion. And, you know, that just held me in such, you know, fear and guilt and shame for so many years that my body was listening to all that. And, you know, when I found Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life, it just blew my mind with how many emotional traumas that I had and could tie them to beliefs that were toxic for me. So, you know, even in that process of learning that kind of thing. So I'd love that. So talk to us more now about the visibility, because this is so intriguing for me as an author and a publisher, because that's what we mostly need help with. What do we do after our baby's been birthed and put out there into the big bad world? And how do we help it to flourish and do the best work in the world? Because my mission is to spread more love and joy in the world. So I know that has to be part of what your work is about too.
That's why it's called visibility on purpose. It's kind of a dual-pronged approach. It's like we're going to have strategic action steps to arrive at a more visible spot for our brand or business or books. And also it is the people who are doing good work on the planet. And I always say, you know, it's not like we're selling McDonald's hamburgers. We're doing good work and we need more people to know about it. So yeah, your question is how. And I really look at this from 2 angles. We have like the tangible steps, and we also have the intangible steps. And I would say the tangible steps for people listening are really related to your message and your brand. And even as an author of a book, you still have a brand that you're creating, you know, whether it's the book in general or you as the author or you as the publisher. So I always start with like the most basic questions that any business owner or brand figure needs to know. It's like, what do I do? Who do I serve? How do I help people? How is my work different from others? And like you as a publisher, it's like, yeah, what do I do in publishing that's actually really different from some other publishers out there? Because we know that it's not, everyone has something different that they can offer. You might also have a different target market. And it's really about leaning into some of those things that when you begin to share yourself more visibly to the outside world, it's very clear. Because essentially with a brand, a book, a business, we want to create a mental imprint in the listener's mind. So that when they think about us, they think about, oh yeah, she's the one who wrote that book on this. And if we haven't done that yet, that's where we need to start. And this is where I bring in like my yoga background, because I was always fascinated with the study of mantra and sound. And the way that mantra works is through repetition, through japa. We repeat, 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 repeat to reprogram the subconscious mind. And I actually take that same approach when it comes to visibility. We know exactly what we do. We have the clarity on the message. We have the clarity on the brand. We have the clarity on where we're going. We know how to talk about our book. We know who our book is for. It's very, very clear. We could speak about it in any moment. And then we talk about it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. And it's not really that sexy to do that. It's not, but that's what's creating this imprint within the listener, the audience, the community. And how do we do that? You know, there are numerous strategies. So we have social media, which is incredible. I focus a lot on networking and relationship building so that we can network with the right people. We know exactly what it is that we do so that we can be referred out, or people can talk about our book for us, because that's even better when someone can talk about our work for us. And then what Visibility on Purpose specifically does is we teach how to get press and media. So how to pitch yourself to the media, aka newspapers, magazines, TV, radio, editorial, and podcasts, that you can share your message on platforms that are already established.
Right. I love all of those. Those are certainly some of those, you know, that I've thought of and I've done on my own. But you gave us so many more tools and ways to, so many more ideas to spur that, to inspire people to think beyond what, you know, what we think, oh, we just publish it and then we just tell people about it. But it's not just that. And I like too how you talked about it being like our brand. And I think that's part of the reason I started the We Are Joy book series. It's a series. I mean, there are 4 books in the series so far, because I knew the overall topic, the arching topic that I wanted to help people with, because joy was such an important thing that was missing in my life. That was my mess that became my message. So, you know, this series, I have other books besides that, but the ones in the series, you know, I want to be known as the joy advocate. I want to be known for people to go, oh, if I'm looking for a joy book, or I need to give a joy book to my client who's struggling, or it may help them as they work with me, you know, that they'll think of me.
Exactly.
Yeah. Can you speak to a little more about how we do that? How do you brand yourself when you're wanting to write a book, especially if it's a solo book or if it's your one baby out there?
This is where like the intangible comes in, because there is a bit of like, you have to give yourself the permission slip that you're going to claim that. Yes. You know, that like you as Marianne, you're going to be a joy advocate who focuses a lot on joy, so that when someone thinks about joy, they think of you. And I think honestly, that sounds really simple, but it's not at the same time, especially when we are like service-based business owners who are always trying to serve others and put our work out there. And like, it's always about the other. So to have the eyes on us is actually quite uncomfortable, because then we go, oh my God, there's pressure, there's responsibility. So this is where like I like to blend my spiritual humanness into it all, so that we can actually, you know, take care of ourselves as we get more visible, because it is a little scary. So like, I do my spiritual practices, I practice Kundalini yoga, I do all my mental rehearsal, I do all, you know, Abraham Hicks, like that's the foundation, so that as I'm stepping out and there's more pressure on you as the business owner, the brand, the author, you can navigate with a little bit more ease and grace.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, we have to have that foundation for sure. Otherwise, we're just faltering. You're just kind of falling out wherever the whims of life just kind of knock you around. So yes, we definitely have to have that foundation. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about, you know, even how people could work with you, or, you know, what services you provide, or anything that you'd like to talk about?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think it comes back to, I like to work with business owners who know that they're on this planet to do good work, and they just need some support in the strategy to get that message out there. So I tend to work with many authors because I had a publishing company, and I'm still doing some publishing work, just slowly transitioning into something else. So I do that with business owners. I also do a lot of brand message work. So if a business owner is maybe pivoting their brand or transitioning what it is that they do, and they want support on what that message is out to the world so that they can reach their target market, do a lot of work with that. And then Visibility on Purpose is a media training school. So we open the enrollment 2 times a year. And I say we, I have a business partner. My business partner is the publicist, and she's worked with hundreds and hundreds of brands from like the Beach Boys to James Bay. She has a wealth of knowledge in the PR space. And then we come together and just make magic. So for anyone who's listening, like that's some of the ways that you can enter my world. And yeah, I think like my message to people who are listening is that, you know, your word, you felt called to write a book for a reason. These words channeled through you. You've had experiences that, you know, inside you knew were meant to be shared publicly. And my invitation is, you know, to move through some of the discomfort around being seen, because you didn't write a book to be invisible. You didn't write those words to be invisible. And I know it can feel safer to stay in the little box, because I go through these waves myself, and I'm a speaker, and I was just in England speaking. So, but I hear you, like I'm still experiencing this myself. So I hear you, I feel you, but I see you. And we need to get this work out there to more people, because we're in the business of helping people, and this world needs our work.
I absolutely agree. So if somebody has their book already published, is that the time they come to you?
It depends. I've worked with authors in that stage who the book is out, but it kind of fell flat because they don't know what to do with it now. Or I've also helped business owners who were about to go through that launch phase. And we made sure, hey, are your socials on point? Are you doing email campaigns? Helping a little bit more with the marketing as well. I do some consulting with that.
That's good. That's good. You mentioned about, you know, when people maybe pivot or transition their work. So if somebody is doing that, if they're kind of in that pivot stage where they're rebranding, and, you know, how do they change that visibility? I mean, because you've been sending this message out, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is, you know, and then they're needing to change that brand.
Yeah.
How does that work?
This is how I would recommend this, is that you start telling the story of the transition. And I think one thing that authors know best is they know how to tell stories. And this is what good businesses do too. They know how to tell stories, and they bring the community, the audience, on the journey with them. They show them the transition. They highlight the behind the scenes. You know, it's not like major companies haven't ever done this. It just might not be right away. It might be a slower transition where they start changing their logo. They start changing a little bit more of their motto. But of course, it's a big thing to transition anything that you do. And the way I like to teach it is by being one with their community and showing them the journey, showing them the process. And I mean on socials, I mean in your emails, I mean the way that you present yourself, the story that you tell. And this is where media training is important. Like, because if you're being interviewed and you've never talked about this transition, it can be hard to find the words for it if you haven't ever reflected on it.
Yes, I can totally see that. I mean, I get confused just telling people what I do now. So,
I know.
Yes, that would definitely, you know, having somebody to either work with you to develop the words, or even just sitting down yourself, writing out that path of transition, or how you're planning it. Is there anything else that you can think of that would be maybe a little more out of the box for people around visibility, or yeah.
I love referrals, affiliates, and networking as a strategy for visibility. And what I mean by that is, whether you're going to like group networking calls and talking about what you do, or you're doing one-on-one calls, we want to be able to link arms with other people who have a similar audience but don't do the same thing. And when you can find that sweet spot, it's a win-win, because then you can cross promote. You can introduce they will introduce you to their audience, and then vice versa. It's a win-win when you see it in that way, because you do not offer that. You understand that there's more than enough to go around. You have a similar target market, so you can still speak the same language. You can still speak the same wants, needs, desires, problems. But now you're getting exposed to a whole new audience, which is why, go the podcast route. Basically, how can you get in front of other people's audiences? By bringing value. And that's one thing that social media doesn't do the best of, because it's me speaking to my followers on Instagram.
Right.
That's a one way. So we actually want to think more broad and say, so if you're an author listening to this, you just published a book, I want you to think about who could you link arms with, who maybe is also a writer, but maybe you have a different type of book, or maybe it's a business owner of some sort who also teaches on that topic that you wrote about. How can you link arms this way instead of just direct to your people, so that you can be exposed in front of more people? That's a very organic route to doing that.
Yes. Yes, I like that. I belong to a Ladies Power Lunch it's a Facebook group that was started many years ago. But, our chief happiness officer tells us that we have one rule, and it's to intentionally support each other. Yeah. So to find those groups that you can do the link arm, because we're very much in collaboration. Most of the people I have collaborated with since joining that group have been from that group. Right. And it's a large group, and it's like there's somebody there to help you or answer questions or lock arms with you when you need it the most. The tide rises all ships. We'll rise together. And like you were talking about, even if it's not, if it's a podcast or an affiliate or somebody that you can get in front of their audience, you may not do exactly the same thing, because we'll never, even if you're in the same business, you're just still not doing it the same. And the personalities are different. So there's not a competition. I work very closely with another publisher. She was my mentor and taught me. And so it's been so much fun to be able to lock arms with her even now. And it doesn't have to be, my screen just went off. Did you,
you're good.
Am I still there? Okay.
Yep.
So at any rate, it's not a competition. There are more ways there are so many ways to get in front of other people that I think you could help people with so much, because again, we don't think that way so many times. And so I so appreciate that this is the work that you do. Yeah. Because I don't know all this, so even for my clients, my publishing clients, my writers, my authors, I don't have that piece of the puzzle yet. So it's wonderful for me to have somebody to refer to, that I know you'll take care of them, and you'll direct them in the way they should go, or what's best for them. I mean, you're not telling them, okay, now you have to do this, and today you have to do that, and you have to talk to this people. And, I don't think you're probably doing that, are you?
No, I think one of the best qualities that I have is being the bridge. And I think that's why my name is Bridget. Like, I tend to dance between both worlds. I understand the human world. I understand the spirit world. I understand business strategy. Like, I've always been an entrepreneur my entire life. Like, that's been the mind. I can think business all day. And I also can think very, very much in what do we personally need, and how do we take the steps based on our needs, our desires, our wants. So yeah, heart-centered approach, I guess we can call it. And I get to be the bridge.
I love that. I love that you found that in your name.
I know.
So again, if you have a book within you that is wanting to come forth, you feel that nudge. Maybe you've already been in an anthology and you've tapped your toe in the water and you want to do something more, that there's a solo book coming out, or maybe you have a friend that you want to co-author with, be sure and get a hold of me at envisiongreatness.com. There are different ways that we can work together, and let me help you get that word out, because my mission, again, is to spread more love and joy. And if you have love and joy, that is your goal for your book and what you want to present and how you want to impact the world for good, let's talk. Let's just explore publishing. Let's sit down and see what ideas that you have, and we can see if we're a good fit. I appreciate you, Bridget, for visiting with me today so much. And here is her website again, visibilityonpurpose.com. And do you have any parting words of wisdom you want to leave with us?
I feel like we've shared so many nuggets, but I think it's in alignment with, your work. It's if you have something in you. And let's pull a Wayne Dyer, right? Don't die with your music still inside you.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Don't die with the music still inside you, for sure. So, again, I appreciate you, Bridget. Thank you for being the bridge to more visibility for authors and those who are doing such good work in the world. And you help them get more visible. I appreciate you. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate you also. And remember, you are joy, looking for a way to express.